Hello guys, Anos here. Today I will do this sprite from Donkey Kong Country. First I will show you the animation of this sprite. As you can see, this sprite have all these animations. As you can see, I use as sprites. This is because this is a good tool to work with each frame individually and then export it as a sprite sheet. For that I use this tool. Do you see this square in the middle? Well, this square is identical to this square on the CFG editor. That's why I use this size of canvas because I can easily find that square. Well, I will export the sprite sheet and show you an open Dyzen to work with this sprite. Then I export the sprite sheet and now I will open Dyzen. Then first we press the button Dynamic Sprite and press the button Load Sprite Sheet. Now we set the width and the height of the canvas. For that we check that and we can know that the canvas height is 80 by 80. Now we select the sprite sheet of the army. As you can see, it have all the frames. And now we select a palette and press the button load from sprite. Then we set the name and press OK. Here we find some options. The first and second option, if the value is higher, then the algorithm is slower but more optimal. The last value, if it is higher, is faster but less optimal. In this case, I will select this configuration that is the slowest possible but the most optimal because this is a very small sprite. Now we can see that the sprite sheet was ripped and we can see the dynamic space for each frame and we can select the tiles on the canvas. Now we will do the animations. The first animation that I will do is the idle animation using these 4 frames. I will do the animation and also I will set some time to the first frame. This is a dynamic sprite of 30 FPS, then the first frame should be an even number. The time that you set should be an even number. Now I will do a spin start animation. This animation should be played only once, then I will set that option when I do this animation. Now I will do a spin animation, but a spin animation that should be used to get more speed, like Sonic when it starts to spin. This animation will be exactly the same than the spin animation, but with faster time. I will set all the times to the number 2. Probably I will use 0 on the last version, but for now I will set 2. Done. Now I will do the spin animation that is the same animation but with more time. I will do spin end animation. This will use this frame, but also should use the frames that we use on the spin start animation. I will add those frames too. Now I will do a heart animation. Oh, well, first I think I will do a projectile animation. This will be used because I want that this sprite be used as projectile. This will be an easy animation, just one frame that will keep in that frame while it is shooted by other sprite. You won't see this frame, this animation, but I will use it later. That's why I do this. Now I will do a heart animation. And I will do a death animation too. Now I will do the hitboxes. For that, first I will increase the zoom and also the cell size. I will change it to 1 pixel. Now I will set this option, call it share to with all frame, then all frame will share the same hitbox. And now I will change it to don't share interaction, then I can do change in each frame. I will do some changes per frame of the hitbox and then finish it. Probably for the heart animation and the death animation, those frames won't have a hitbox. Then I will remove it. We are almost done. I will remove the hitbox of these frames. Well, we are done. Now I will export the sprite. For that, I will go to File, where here we can see all the frames with the hitboxes. And now I will export it. I press File, Extract to. I select a folder. Now I set the name of the sprite, and I will check all these items. Now we can see the sprite. Here we have the ASM file and also a bin file that have the GFX, also the palette and other GFX. Here we can see how the GFX of the dynamic sprites looks. I will load the palette to look at it better. As you can see, it's very compressed, and this is the ASM file. The first change that I will do is change this to import the GFX and the palette. The GFX will be in the GFX00 and the palette will be in the GFX01. After that, I will do some changes that you won't need to do because this is a version of Dyzen that still don't include all the latest changes of the system. Then give me a second to do some changes on this code that you won't need to do, and then I will continue with the project. Okay, I finished with the changes. Then now I will show you just the interaction routine. This default action here will be executed when the player interacts with the sprite. In this case, it will do that the player bounce when it jumps over the sprite. Oh, I forget something. Let me find it. Here, I need this. These are some routines that I did to do an accurate bounce for multi-hitbox. Well, now I will show you how to transform the palette into a bin file. For that, I will use a tool called pal2bin that you can download on Super My Work Center. For that, I will copy the palette on the folder and I will call the command pal2bin, the name of the palette, and now I will select what palette we will use. In this case, if we open the GFX, you can see that the palette that we are using is the palette 40. Then I will use 40, and the last parameter is the output name. In this case, DKC armypal2.bin. We copy that file. I will copy and send it to my army folder here. And now we'll move these files to the project. The ASM file will be on the Pixie Sprites folder, and the GFX and the palette will be on the Dynamic Resources folder. After copy this, I will edit the list of Pixie. Well, first I must do a CFG or JSON. In my case, I will do a JSON. Then I will select the object clipping. I think this is the object clipping that I found for this sprite. And I must set the here's the sprite clipping. Let me find a good one. Well, I think that the 00 is the best. Okay. Now I will put here the name of the ASM file. I must change this to custom, put like 56. I will use, in this case, 2 extra bytes. Could be more, but I think 2 is enough. I will set some properties, especially this, that is to do a custom death animation. And also for Pixie interaction, I will use the process interaction with Mario refrain and don't use the follow interaction with Mario. The other options are very straightforward. I will save this. Oh wait, let me check this. Okay, I will save this. Done. Now I will put the JSON on the list of Pixie. For that I open the file list.txt. In the slot 10 I will use army.json, and now I will put the name of the sprite on the resource list on the level normal, like that. Okay. Now I will insert the sprites, the graphic using dear other. I will show you the command, this command here. And now I insert the graphics. Here are the effects of the army and the palette of the army. Now I will insert the sprite. And in my case, I must insert also the player because I insert dynamic resource. Let me insert the sprite on a level and show you how it works. For this sprite, we will use the first extra byte in the value 7. As I will explain you later why it is. Now I will do this. We put the sprite here. And now I will open the ROM. As you can see, the palette of the sprite is wrong. To fix that, I will do that the sprite load the palette dynamically using the extra byte 1. Then I will use in this. No, it's not in this file. Give me a second. Well, I think I will use other sprite. Laptop should have the correct code. Give me a second. Okay. I will use these two tables. The first table will be used to know if the palette was already loaded, and the second table will be used for the palette itself. Then this will load the last 3 bits and multiply that for 2. In this case, if it is 7, this will be 4, or E in hexadecimal. Now let me copy this code here. Okay. This code will change the palette. First, the palette is in the GFX01. Then I will change this. Give me a second. Okay, well, I will explain what this code does. Well, the first line is to check if the palette was already loaded. If it is not loaded, then it will load the palette. If not, then we'll skip the palette load. The first line is to set this value of the table at 0, then one load the palette twice. The next is a bit complicated. Basically, it takes the table pal and get the value and transform it to be the first color of the row that we choose of the first color of the palette that we will replace. Then in this case I use 7. Then this will transform first 7, will transform it into 70. Then 70 will add 81, and that will be the value that in this case F1, that is the last row of the palette F we show you in Lunar Magic. This will start with in the color F1. Then the latest lines, this is to load the palette address. In this case, we'll load the low byte of the palette, the high byte of the palette, and the bank of the palette. And the last line will load the palette into the CG RAM to be replaced. Now let me check if all is working. I will insert the sprite. Oh, I have an error. Well, this is very easy to fix. Basically, I must change this label to other position, like this. Okay, now it should work. I will insert the sprite. And now I will open the ROM. And as you can see, all is working. And we are bouncing over the sprite. Well, I think this is all for this. I hope you enjoyed. I will submit the second part of this video during this week. Have a nice day.